But let's move on. Let's move on to topic number 2 tonight. And hey, man, if we're going to go on to topic number 2, and if it's going to be about this guy, then you know it's going to be Dame time. It's Dame time up in here. It's Dame time up in here. We love Dame Lillard. So, yeah, let's talk about Dame, man. And this was news that I hadn't even seen. Pat, cheers to you for sending it to me because it was big news when it came across my phone when you sent it. But Dame Lillard requesting a trade out of Portland. So what do you got?
Yeah, so apparently, Dame Lillard wants out of Portland. I didn't think this would happen. I thought he was going to stay with the Trail Blazers. He's got, I think, 3 years left on his deal, and then he has an option year in 2025 where he's due $48.7 million. So he's going to make 39 next year, 42 the year after, and 45 the year after that. So he's got a big contract. I always thought he got along with C.J. McCollum, although McCollum hasn't been healthy. And then same thing with Nurkic. Nurkic has been banged up the last couple of years too. So I think this is one of those situations where Dame Lillard's like, I've been here for a long time. I'm 31 years old, and I have to make a move or else I'm never going to get to a championship team because he's been in the league, 10 years or even more than 10 years now. So I think he's sort of growing impatient. On that end, I don't blame him. All these other players are kind of forming teams and whatnot. And then, but you do see Milwaukee, a homegrown small market team, win the NBA Finals. So you do wonder if Lillard's seeing what happened in Milwaukee, if that'll change his mind at all, or if he still wants to move on and go somewhere else. So if he does move on, there's a couple of places that folks have talked about as possible destinations for Dame Lillard who might be able to swing a trade. I think the team everybody keeps talking about, Ben Simmons to the Trailblazers, Dame Lillard to the Sixers. I think that would make the most sense. I would hate to see it. I don't like the Sixers as a Celtics fan. Not that the Celtics have had too much trouble with the Sixers in the playoffs recently, but I'd hate to see it because that would be a dynamic duo between Lillard and Joel Embiid. Heck of a point guard, big man matchup, a pick and roll matchup that would be a nightmare. But that's a possible destination. Then the New York Knicks are also a possible destination. They have some picks. I'm not sure exactly what players would go back in the trade. I would imagine that Portland would ask for R.J. Barrett, maybe Isaiah Quickly, a few of the other guys on that Knicks team, along with a lot of picks. So it just depends on what they can get for Lillard. I'm sure that they're going to be looking for a boatload like any other superstar trade. So it seems like he wants out of there. I don't know if things will change over the next few weeks, especially when players, one thing that could happen too is a player could get hurt over playing in the Olympics. We saw it with Paul George, who snapped his leg when he was playing for FIBA, almost 10 years ago, I want to say now. So that could change things too, depending on where he could go after something like that happens. So, I don't think this will happen right away, but it is going to be interesting. Maybe although the draft is next week, and that could be a huge factor as to if the Trailblazers want to move on from him now and get picks to make in this year's draft. So we'll see what they do. They might even make a move next week if, in fact, they want to trade Lillard.
Yeah, I mean, this is big news, and hey, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I called this, man. I called it when they lost after in the playoffs. He tweeted out, "What has my loyalty gotten me?" And immediately I saw through that, being like, he wants out, man. He wants to go to a team where he can try to win a championship. And producer Ben's bringing it up. One of the main locations that I think is going to try to happen is the Los Angeles Lakers. And the rumor has it that they're going to try to do a sign and trade with Dennis Schroeder to send Schroeder over and maybe some draft picks and maybe even Kyle Kuzma on the board as well. So you could see both of those guys go over. And to me, that trade makes sense. I think it makes sense for Portland as well. Maybe getting out of Dame Lillard's contract a little bit, to be honest, because Kuzma and Schroeder's contract combined probably won't even be close. And so they'll be getting out of a little contract. They'll get two young guys that they can either, develop over time or step away from over the next 2 years and clear some cap room themselves. So I think it does make sense for the Lakers to try to go in there. But obviously, I want to try to see the Boston Celtics make a play for this guy. And I think almost every team, this is the type of player when he comes available and he comes out on the board and he's possibly trade bait, that every team is saying, hey, what can we put up to try to get this guy, even if any kind of trade to try to get this guy on our team. Like, what is it? Young guys, like picks. What can we do? Who's tradable at this point? So hey, man, if I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm talking about trading Marcus Smart, Taco Fall, and any draft pick you want going forward, because I want Dame Lillard on the Boston Celtics to have our big three with Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. I think that's a big three that could contest with any team, especially in the East, and probably any team in the NBA when you get Dame Lillard going on. I'm talking Dame Lillard is one of the top 5 best NBA players right now in the league. And I love this guy. And, I make no shade of that. And don't hide it at all. He's one of my favorite players. But I'm telling you, match him up against any other NBA player, and this guy has got the game. And he is clutch. In clutch moments, he is going to hit you a big shot. And I think Jason Tatum might be still too young to be in that clutch moment, might look to defer a little bit too much, which we have seen him do. And then I don't think Jaylen Brown is ready for that big shot either, but I'll tell you who is. Dame Lillard is ready for that big shot. Just give him the ball right now and let him play. So I think those are two teams that I think are going to try to make a play. But, you bring up Philly, and I think Philly's going to try. I think Philly's trying to trade Ben Simmons to anybody right now. So even if that trade doesn't happen, look for Ben Simmons to be on the trade block somewhere else right now. I think they realize that team is going nowhere with him on the roster, and they need to quickly abandon him so they can get somebody next to Joel Embiid so they can make a run for the title. But yeah, hey, hopefully it doesn't happen. I don't want to see them win anytime soon, but I would like to see the Boston Celtics get Damian Lillard. And if not, man, look how sweet that is, Producer Ben. Look how sweet that is. So clearly I'm not the only one talking about it when Producer Ben can pull up a graphic off the internet in just a matter of seconds. So, hey, make it happen. If I'm the Boston Celtics, like I said, and I've said this before, anybody is tradable on this roster, in my opinion, except for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and I will even say Peyton Pritchard at this point. And Robert Williams. Those are 4 guys I wouldn't trade. Anybody else, ship them away. Any kind of draft pick you want for Dame Lillard. But Dame Lillard's going to be on the move. It's just going to be where he's playing next year.
Yeah, as far as the Celtics go, I think it'll be tough, man, because I don't think you're going to get him unless you do give up Jaylen Brown. And to me, giving up Jaylen Brown, Dame Lillard's really good, and he's probably better than Jaylen Brown, especially offensively. He's definitely better than Jaylen Brown offensively. I don't know how much better that gets you, though, because then you're trading a star for a superstar, but then you still need that third star. So the only reason, if I was Celtics, to get Dame Lillard would be to keep Brown, keep Tatum, and have Dame Dollar on the Celtics as well. They traded their first-round pick to get rid of Kemba Walker. So I think the guys that you just mentioned, Peyton Pritchard and Robert Williams, you're going to have to put them in the deal. You have to put those guys in the deal in order to get Dame Lillard. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's enough. They don't necessarily have the picks. They don't necessarily have the young guys that they can trade there that, Portland's going to be falling over. So I don't think it would happen. I'd love to see it, the 3 of them together. That would be the next big 3 in Boston. I don't think it'll happen, but I also thought the Suns would win the NBA Finals. So they take a grain of salt, if you will. So there's going to be a lot of talk about this. Going to be a lot of movement in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes over the next probably week leading up to the draft, like we just mentioned.